Now it's time for Straight on the Point with Jesse T. from some undisclosed location somewhere in the world. Now, ladies and gentlemen, here's Jesse T.
Well, it's good to be back with you. The Brown Beauty is back on. It's time for the Jesse T Show. Yes, our second day of the week on a beautiful Southern California summer week. This is actually the first official week of summer. Last weekend was the first official weekend of summer here in Southern California. Good to have you along with us on our YouTube subscriber channel. It's free to subscribe right now. Jesse Torrero, just go to YouTube, Jesse Torrero channel, and you can subscribe right there. Let us know that you're following and watching, and you can check out the show happening live right now as we build that YouTube audience up this year, 2018. Saying hi to our Instagram audience as well, too. Instagram Live. Now we have a new element to Instagram Live. We can actually broadcast 1 hour of an Instagram live show, and it will stay within the body of your Instagram page. So they've made some upgrades there, so we'll be tinkering around with that in the next coming 3 or 4 days. But saying hi to our friends there at Instagram Live at Jesse Torrero. So good to have you along with us there. And we can't, of course, ever forget our big bad audience here on Facebook.com/Jesse Torrero. And our Facebook audience is chiming in with us right now. Boy, it's starting to get real busy. I can see that. As well as the foundation that starts it all for us. We're talking about the powerofvoices.com at www.thepowerofvoices.com. You can also go on the Facebook page of The Power of Voices and watch our show broadcast live there as well, and on Straight to the Point. But the best place to get it is right here, or you can listen to the audio version for those of you who just have the possibility of listening to it while you're traveling through your places that you're going through today throughout this great nation that we call the USA. And God bless America. Boy, I'll tell you, the most beautiful place on the planet Earth to live. I've lived all around California, and I've traveled to 300 U.S. cities in my lifetime, spent some time in all of them, and I've been to 43 international countries. That's right, 43 different places, and not just the worst places in the world. I've been to some really nice locations like Italy and France and Germany, and I've been to England and places like that that are considered, first rung, top of the ladder, top drawer countries. Nothing like good old USA. Nothing like it. Absolutely nothing like it at all. I'm always so happy and thankful. In fact, I was watching Denzel Washington over the weekends, some of his speeches that he gave at different college ceremonies this last couple of 3 or 4 or 5 years. And one of the overall messages that he talks about is gratitude and thankfulness. And, you have to be thankful for the things that you have in life. You have to be really thankful to be a person who was born here in America. There are so many people from around the world that want to come here for one reason or another, and they want to come here under any circumstance that they can get in, legally or illegally. And of course, we've seen a spike in that in the last 25 or 30 years, the illegal immigration. But they want to come here. They don't want to stay in their countries necessarily. And I will attest to that because in so many of the countries that I've been in my lifetime, there really is no middle class. There is no midway ground. You're either very wealthy, very educated, and you come from the other side of the tracks, or you're very poor, uneducated, and you come from the other side of the tracks. There is no in between ground. And that's in places like England and France and Germany. That's in places like Spain and Italy and Greece. It's not necessarily what you think it is over there, especially with all that migration that has taken place with the millions and millions and millions of people leaving the Middle East. They don't want to be in the Middle East. I wouldn't want to be in the Middle East. At some point in time, you just get tired of seeing your family members blown up, shot, killed, kidnapped, raped, murdered. I mean, there's only so much a man can take, right? And there definitely is no middle ground there. You're either very wealthy, connected, corruptly, or not, or you're just trying to survive like you've been trying to survive for 3,000 years. So America is really a place that is so unique in the history of the planet Earth. We are just so lucky that our parents were born in America. No matter what combination of bloodline you come from, whether you're white, Caucasian, whether you're brown, whether you're an American indigenous person, whether you're black, whether you're Asian, whether you're albino, Russian, Polish, Italian, it really doesn't matter. America is really the only place on the planet Earth, God's blue-green earth today, right now at this moment, that you can start off with nothing and end up with something. And no wonder people want to come to our great nation. No wonder they want to come here. We are, like Ronald Reagan said, the last shining city on the hill. For the rest of the world, we are like the beacon of light. We are like that tower that shines in Las Vegas. I believe it's called the Luxus or Lexus. I'm not sure. I don't go to Vegas a lot. Where it beams up into the sky. That's what we are to the rest of the world. I've oftentimes said, and you've heard me say this, so goes America, so goes planet Earth. And I truly believe that we should be thankful for what we have. Be thankful, like Denzel Washington says. Be thankful that we can speak our mind. Be thankful for the Bill of Rights and our Constitution. Be thankful that we somehow, some way, were able to get away from that colonial English rule, that European ideology. We somehow was able to manipulate ourselves out of there because historically, George Washington really didn't win any battles at all in the Revolutionary War. He really didn't. He won some skirmishes and guerrilla war that he really just destroyed the redcoats, the British. The only really big battle, and there's just a very few of them, and one of them comes to mind, is the Battle of Yorktown, where Cornwallis, and he was like the Schwarzkopf, he was like the chief of staff, he was like the general with a direct line to the King of England. He was the guy here in North America. He ruled and governed everything, Cornwallis. And when he was at Yorktown, at the fort there, the fort of Yorktown, the interesting thing happened is the revolutionaries surrounded his fort and tried to lay siege to his fort. And they were doing an all right job, but they weren't really getting anywhere. There's a terrific movie called The Last of the Mohicans. And you can see that movie, and they have a scene in there where this is taking place. But historically, you can go online and get a lecture or find a historical professor that will teach you about this. But there was a truce, and the general, the colonel representing the Continental Army, basically let Cornwallis out and all his soldiers and belongings, and they marched right to their ships and off back to England they went. And then the Revolutionary War ended. Really, that's about it. That's about how extravagant it was. See, I've always been under the idea that there was a deal made between politicians. Remember, Ben Franklin was in France most of the time because he loved the French lifestyle. Oh, did Ben love it? Boy, he loved it. Ben was always a guy who was very fun, I guess you could say, with the local population. Yeah, in France, he was a young ladies' man. He liked the young ladies in France. But he also was the European connection for our communication throughout Europe and in England. So I always thought, and I've always believed, and I've read in many places, that there really was a deal made. You see, we never really have left the English Empire. If you think for one moment that there is no English Empire anymore, think twice and put some thought behind it. We really never have left. If that's the case, why are we so fascinated? Why are we so fascinated with the Queen of England? Why do we really care? Why do we revere them so much? And it's just not because it's on the front page of the Inquirer, like they used to say, gossip at the coffee table. There's a reason why the Bank of England was run by Rothschild, the Rothschild that immigrated from Germany, who was a Jew, who changed his name to Rothschild and ruled the English bank, which was the Bank of the King, which was the Bank of Europe, because it was the most powerful bank. And as his sons were born, he sprinkled his sons in India, in France, and Germany, and he had control of the United States economy through the English Empire. It's of some great thought that you have to look at the dots and put them together and ask yourself, have we really left the English Empire? Have we really dissolved? Did we really win our freedom? My contention is we just manipulated and made a deal that allowed America and its natural resources to be used by England and then into Europe. Thus, we really have never left England. I could argue that point much deeper with factual base, but do some homework. It lends to the conversation because, you see, there is no place like America, not even in England. This is the greatest place to live. And like Denzel Washington said, we need to be thankful for the luck that you and I are here. And if you were lucky to come here legally, you need to be thankful and have gratitude, like our forefathers did that came here legally through Ellis Island and San Francisco. Came here to start a new life in a new country with new skills, with their new family, and learn a new language and a better way to live. Releasing and forgetting all that you came from, but keeping your spirit of who you were, but becoming an American, not a hyphenated American. So we need to be thankful for that. And the reason why I'm talking about that right now is because our country right now is so contentious with everybody. Everybody seems to be up in everybody's face for one reason or another. Everybody just dislikes everybody. Everybody's fighting everybody about everything. There is no commonality, it seems like. And the fake news media has a stranglehold on that as well. But it seems like not just black and white hate each other. It seems like brown and white, brown and black, black and Asian, Asian and indigenous. It just seems like everybody wants to fight and spew hate and disgusting words out of their mouths. It seems to me that our nation is, the civility of it has fallen apart dramatically and very quickly. This whole Maxine Waters thing, how dare she say the things that she says? And now she's backpedaling today, saying that she did not solicit people to conduct violence against congressmen and women and senators, and also against people that are in the cabinet of the presidency. But when you listen and watch her diatribes, you understand. And if you go back in her career, before the burning of Los Angeles in the 90s and the riots, she was out there saying the same things here in Los Angeles. She's very good at spewing hate. And I hope that she gets everything that she's got coming towards her, good and bad. I hope that she does resign from Congress, because we don't need that kind of discourse in this country. We don't need people saying, I want to attack you in your restaurant. I want to do that. You see, it's interesting that you see a lot of lefties on the liberal side of the agenda doing that, but you don't see a lot of righties on the conservative side of the agenda. Why is that? Have you given that much thought? Nevertheless, the bottom line is there's so much disgust with each other now. And we've got to change that way of communicating. Otherwise, it will tear this country apart. It will. We will become our own worst enemy. And sort of that's what I think the powers of the planet want us to be, is our own worst enemy. President Trump, he tweets stuff and he says stuff, but he doesn't actually go out there and say, go in front of the faces of cabinet members and congressmen and senators and disrupt their lives and get their mailing addresses and find out where they live with your bullhorn, stand on their sidewalk. He doesn't do that. There's a big difference in what he does and what Maxine Waters and the likes of her, even Chuck Schumer, has said in the Senate that was the wrong way to go. It's really so true that if our house is divided, it cannot stand. And we are divided more than ever before. What is it going to take for us to not be divided? Another war? Another destruction or destructive act here in America against one of our buildings or bridges? What is it going to take for people to realize that they really have it pretty darn good in this country? We really have a great place to live, folks. And I don't care what color you are. You know, racism has been around since the dawn of mankind, whenever that happened. It's just built into the DNA and the genome of humanity. I honestly believe that. It's a part of what makes our eyes brown, blue, or green. It's a part of human concept. And we here in America have made the greatest strides than any other nation historically in trying to make that go away, trying to have civility and equal rights for everybody. We in America lead the world in the way human rights should be construed, created, directed, and projected. There are no human rights in the Middle East. There are no human rights in Russia. There are no human rights in China. Don't think that there is. There isn't. There are no human rights to speak of really in Afghanistan and Iran and North Korea and really Nigeria. There are no human rights on most of the places around the planet Earth, like Venezuela, Brazil. We in America have led the way for others to follow on how to bring together a society. And the reason why we've done that is because none of us came from this land. None of us came from this land. And I'm talking to you Native Americans too. You didn't come from this land. You came here from someplace else. All of us did. Either you came across the Bering Strait, Native Americans, or you came across Greenland into Canada, or you came down into Chile, the Aborigines, or you came over in the great Chinese navies that there were at one time, thousands of years ago, or you came from the Polynesian Islands. None of us are indigenous to America completely. Not one of us grew out of the dirt of this hemisphere. Think about that. See, we in North America, unlike any great experiment the planet has ever seen, is we in North America came from everywhere. We were a giant soup of people that had an idea to be a little bit different than the rest of the world at the time. And we prospered with that idea. Because that's what human beings do. They prosper. And we had to come together because we had nothing that was here before us, including Native Americans. You were not here first. Your ancestors were here before you, and they came from somebody else. So you see, when you understand the humanity and how it's spread over the world, you can begin to understand that when North America, the United States of America, made a deal with Europe and England, and we were able then to create a way of, we did, among many types of people. See, that's the great cause of America. That's the greatness of what makes us great. It's not that we're all Caucasian. It's not that we're all Latino. It's not that we're all Asian. It's not that we're all black. It's not that we're all Russian, Chinese. It's not any of those. It's that we're a little bit of this, a little bit of that. You're a little bit of me, and I'm a little bit of you. And somewhere down the line, we're a little bit of each other, and a little bit of our neighbor, and a little bit of our neighbor's neighbor, and a little bit, and a little bit, and a little bit. And a lot of little bits make a pretty big bit. Bada bing, bada boom. That's America. So this contentious idea has been forced upon us for control and power. All of a sudden in the last 7 to 10 years since Obama, but it really happened before that. We can go back even farther. LBJ, I would say. And we can go back even farther at the assassination of Abraham Lincoln if you want to. But we have been forced not to like. See, a child doesn't hate. A child learns to hate. We in America have learned to hate each other a lot. I never understood that. Unfortunately, I live in 2018 and I have to deal with the situation, and I got to keep my head on the swivel and keep my eyes on my six, because you never know where it's going to come from. But that's not the way I was raised. Heck, when I was growing up and I was a teenager and I was sowing my oats, come on, man. A woman's a woman. Didn't make no mind to me. A man's a man. Just because I was raised in an area where there were more Caucasian people, some Latin people, very few African Americans, which I can't stand. The hyphenated name is awful. I hate hyphenations. Just black, just Americans. Didn't make any difference to me. I traversed all of Los Angeles growing up. I had pals from every denomination, every pigment of skin, every ideology. Didn't make no mind to me, but I saw this happening, man, more and more and more, to the point in my mid-20s and the 80s, the world was changing fast, and what it's turned into in America now, I just frankly don't like it. I don't like it so much that I'm throwing my hands up in the air and waving like I just don't care. I'm going to move somewhere where there's just less people. Because people don't seem to be wanting to resolve this. People like Maxine Waters. They just want to foster the fuel for some gain. You know, that woman gave her daughter something like $167,000 from her campaign fund illegally, and she's in trouble for that, but they've quelled that story. She's in some serious trouble. You tell me how a congressman goes making $193,000 a year worth $174 million when he walks out. They don't want any change. They want you and I to continue to argue amongst each other and hate each other. Meanwhile, they can play their little games like the magician who's at the magic castle, does the magic for you up close and personal. I love those, those hand magicians who are like right there in your face. And man, they astound me. That's how good they are. What happened to the time in this country where we could have fun with each other? Where we could be a little, as they used to say, a little blue. What happened to the great shows like Sanford and Son that could actually air? That people actually laughed at. It didn't matter your color. What happened to those great shows? Like this one here from Sanford and Son. I want you to listen to this. It's absolutely friggin' hilarious. I was on Sanford and Son when I was a child. But this show, Sanford and Son with Red Fox, why can't we have humor like this? Check it out. Listen closely. Hopefully you can hear it. Hit it, buddy.
Inquiry to the matter before the court.
Well, that's what's wrong with the court, Judge. A black man ain't got a chance down here.
I'm black.
Well, you the judge, that don't count. Listen, why don't you arrest some white drivers?
I do.
You do? Well, where are they? Look at all these niggas in here. Look around here. There's enough niggas in here to make a Tarzan movie.
Channel 4, NBC, prime time.
I can understand what you're trying to do, son, but I gotta take the bus. It's too far to ride this horse to St. Louis.
Red Fox, baby. 46 years ago today on NBC primetime with this kind of humor. What happened to our country? Why can't we laugh at each other anymore?
You stop following me, I ain't got no hooks in his bag.
He's talking to a woman there.
Hit my head, evil doing heathen, but I didn't. That's right, man. He didn't. And I could have called you frog-eyed, fish-eating fool, but I didn't. I could have called you a monkey-faced, fat-bottom gorilla. But I didn't. So now I will, you fat-bottom, gorilla-faced ape. I got something here for you, husband. Here.
That's a piece of plastic.
That's a clear piece of plastic. No, it ain't. Put up to your face. That's your Halloween mask. Now then. Listen to that. The voice of a chicken coming out of a buzzard.
You braced?
I'm braced.
All right, here it is. I'm getting married.
What?
I'm getting married.
What happened? Did you make some girl pregnant?
No, it's nothing like that.
Well, how could you keep something like this to yourself? When did you decide to do all this?
See, I've been thinking about it for a long time now, but I just recently decided to do it.
Well, is it Evelyn Rogers?
No.
Well, did I ever meet her?
Yeah, you met her once. Her name is Maria.
Maria? You don't mean Magic Fingers Maria down at this massage parlor on Manchester, Maine?
No, her name is Maria Fuentes. She's Julio's sister.
Julio, they live over there at the goat.
What I'm saying?
You mean stand there and tell me you're going to marry a Puerto Rican?
That's right.
Oh, no.
Oh, yes. It's already been arranged. But look on the bright side of it. When we have our first son, we'll name him after you. We'll call him Federico. No, Federico Manuel.
Oh, no. Wait a minute. No, no. Oh,
Fred Sanford, man. Red Fox and Sanford and Son. It premiered on NBC 46 years ago, prime time, with that kind of humor. What happened to America where we could laugh at each other and not be offended? Where we could talk about this stuff satirically with sarcasm, comedic sarcasm, and make our point and not and finger. That show could never air today. NBC will be burned to the ground. They can't even fart sideways and get in trouble. What happened to programs like that, where we as Americans, we could say, yeah, there's some inequities, but we can laugh at them and we can fix them. No, not anymore. No, of course not. No, we have to fight and kill and destroy and turn over police cars and call everybody names. That's what we got to do now. You know, what happened to with this kind of stuff? Where did that sense of humor go in America? Where you could actually make a movie that Mel Brooks made called Blazing Saddles, and my favorite scene from it is when Cleon Little, who was supposed to be played by, of course, Richard Pryor, but he had a film on another, couldn't get away to do this one. So Cleon Little was found. Blazing Saddles was made. What happened to this kind of sense of humor?
Good. I better rehearse my speech. As honorary chairman of the Welcoming Committee, it is my privilege to extend to you a laurel and hearty handshake.
Wonderful.
Lovely. Excellent.
Hey, Gabby, can you see him yet?
The sheriff's coming. Bring out the table. Bring up the band.
Now let me set it up. It's a western town, and the sheriff is coming. The new sheriff. This is a drunk on top of the tall building with a telescope.
Hey, the sheriff is in there.
And
The sheriff is near.
and the crowd
The sheriff is in there.
and this town is welcoming him into town. He comes on a white horse. Cleon Little. Dead silence now. Oh, you should see the faces of these.
As chairman of the Welcoming Committee, it is my privilege to extend a laurel and hearty handshake to our new nigger.
The look on all these white people is flawless. Now he's walking around to the welcoming stage where it says "Welcome, Sheriff." Cleon Little, just priceless. What a talent.
Excuse me while I whip this out. By the power vested in me by the Honorable William J. LaPettimaine,
They're all pulling their guns
I
out.
assume the duties of the office of sheriff in and for the township of Rockridge.
Gentlemen, let us not allow anger to rule the day. As your spiritual leader, I implore you to pay heed to this good book and what it has to say.
Oh God, here we go.
Son, you're on your own.
Now this is classic.
Hold it. The next man makes a move, the nigger gets it.
He puts a gun up to his own neck. Cleon Little. And everybody's like,
Hold it, man. He's not bluffing.
He's just crazy enough to do it.
Drop it. I swear I'll blow this nigger's head all over this town.
oh,
No, he's desperate. Do what he says. Do what he says.
oh Lord. They all put their guns down now in disgust that they can't shoot him. And he walks backward off the stage with a gun to his neck, playing two characters now.
Isn't anybody going to help that poor man? Hush, Harriet. That's a sure way to get him killed. Oh, help me. Help me. Help me. Somebody help me. Help me. Help me. Help me.
Shut up.
Goes into the sheriff's office and says,
Oh, baby, you are so talented, and they are so dumb.
it is classic Mel Brooks humor. But what we're looking at is a time where we could laugh at each other. And there's so much humor in this movie, Blazing Saddles. There's alternative lifestyles humor. There's farting humor, slapstick humor. There's humor against every type of race: white, Asian, Chinese, Black, Latino, Indians, Native Americans. I mean, it is a classic film. that could not be made today. Couldn't be made today. Why? Because everybody is so friggin' uptight about everything. You see, that's the problem. Everybody wants to argue and everybody wants to fight at the first drop of a pin. See, we have lost our way. We really have. We've lost our way in this country. We used to be able to resolve things a little bit differently. The greatest country in this world always needs to be fixed, but it doesn't need to be tore apart. And that's what's happening right now. And it's really sad when you think about it, because the young children are seeing an America now that doesn't like itself. How terrible is that? Basically, there's so much hypocrisy going on, it's unbelievable. And I'll always say that it's our fault. Our politically correct, lefty-style thinking, where everybody has a right and it's okay to break the law, has led us down this path. And the corrupt government and corporations, banking and insurance industries have funded the project. And the fake news media now just exacerbates it all for a reason. Nothing happens per chance, ladies and gentlemen. Shame on us all for allowing it to be done to us. What you going to do to make a difference? Switching gears right now. Hey, I want to talk about these tariffs real quick. I think you guys are getting the wrong idea about these tariffs. And I think a lot of professionals are getting the wrong ideas about these tariffs. I am a Trumpster. I voted for President Trump. I think he's doing a fantastic job. I think there's a lot of lies and a lot of things that are blown out of proportion that every other president has had happen on their watch, but they've gotten a pass. I think it's just a bunch of haters who are sore losers, and they just don't like the man. Okay, they want power. That's really all it is. You're seeing the gamesmanship on a power struggle. That's all you're seeing. And we happen to be the pawns on the board. But nevertheless, these things about tariffs, I don't agree necessarily with President Trump about this. The tariffs is an interesting thing because we have a couple of problems here. One of the problem is there are countries in the world that tax everything that comes into their country from our country. I mean, everything. Billions and billions and billions of dollars. And that's not fair. That's not fair because it's not a fair playground. And we tax a lot of things that come into this country from other countries to the tune of billions and billions and billions of dollars. And it's not fair. It's not a level, fair playground. And to impose more tariffs means really, honestly, when you get down to the brass tacks, it's a tax on you. Because the cost of whatever it is that you want is going to go up. So it essentially is a tax. The companies are going to make the same amount of money and more. So it's a tax with a hidden profit. Because the companies are multinational, the big ones that is, and they are offshore country that way have the warehouses where they're making these goods. So it's all going to be the same to them. They don't care. So we have a couple of problems here. The problem is, how do you level the playing field from our stuff going to, like, let's say China, and China not getting taxed as much as they tax us? Do you put more tariffs up? and then they put more tariffs up, and then other countries put more tariffs up. That's one way of doing it. Well, who actually pays for the brunt of that? The citizens in every country pay for the brunt of that. So who actually wins? The corrupt governments, the banking institutions and insurance companies, and the corporations. Who loses? You. It's just another way to erode the middle class in America. Yes, I said it. They don't like the middle class. The left likes the poor, and the right likes the rich. Who likes the middle? None of them. None of them. But they need the middle to get elected. So they lie. That's how they get elected. Every president lies. Obama lied. So many lies. Bush lied. So many lies. Clinton lied. So many lies. Trump lies. So many lies. But at least we're better off economically, and I like what he's doing. If I got to pick the best of two evils, I'm going to be picking the one that best suits our country. At least he's trying to make America great again and not bending over for everybody. But you see, we're so interlocked now in this world. Unless we become a country that just says no and closes the door on all business abroad, then we can't help but be interconnected. So what do? What do you do? There's a dilemma. Free trade is not free. We have never had free trade in the history of mankind. There's never been cross-the-board free trade. Don't think there ever will be. Free trade is not free because the government, when they got their goods from other countries coming in, they want a piece of that money, baby. So it will never be free. But perhaps by sending a message that said America's piggy bank is not open anymore, perhaps we can play the chess game and play the poker game and get countries to understand that they have to reduce, and so will we. So that at least those barriers come down a little bit. I think that's the best we can hope for. So I just wanted to clear that up, what tariffs really mean. Last thing I want to talk about today is human trafficking. There was an article that came out which is very disturbing. Very, very disturbing. And this isn't some Jesse T out there fighting human trafficking and the pimps and trying to save little boys and girls, the coalition against human trafficking. This is not some hearsay. This is not some movie. This is not some film. This is the real deal. And this was breaking news across America today, which you probably didn't hear much of. But I'm going to tell you, Disney World, yes, Disney World, child porn ring busted by Polk County Sheriff's Department. Yep, you got it. Massive Disney World child porn ring busted by Polk County Sheriff. Boy Scouts and Legoland employees arrested. Tucson child rape camp discovered. NXVIM child trafficking ring linked to Hillary Clinton inner circle. That's the chick that was busted. This is just released. It is disgusting when you watch this sheriff bring this information to the public. Child trafficking, human trafficking is happening every day in your community. And our politicians, some of them, are so deviant and disgusting. It's hard to fathom for a honorable, healthy American man or woman to understand. But we have some sick people And the more power and money you have, the sicker you can do because you can get away with it. Hollywood in the last couple of months has just shown the deviant behavior of Hollywood. Some of our politicians here in California have been caught with sexual misconduct and deviant behavior. Tony Cardenas is allegedly fighting one of those alleged accusations now. We'll see if it's true or not. Raul Bocanegra resigned from the Assembly of the State of California. How many others across this nation? We got some sick people in this society. Why aren't we putting any energy behind that? Protecting the children. Why? Why is that not broadcasted all over the news every single minute of the day? Like the Vietnam War was when they put the dead American men and women who died every day on the Channel 2, 4, and 7, ABC, NBC, and CBS. Put their names up on a ticker tape. Why aren't we doing that with human trafficking and child porn rings? Why are we worried about this other stuff? Whether black hates white, white hates brown, brown hates Asian, Asian hates Latino, Latino hates brown, brown hates brown, white hates white, black hates black, black hates Latino, Latino hates white. Why are we worried about that stuff? What's wrong with you people? You got little boys and girls getting raped and sodomized at Disney freaking World. Child porn ring busted, Polk County Sheriff's Department. Is that resonating? Why don't I take your child, dump them in a porno ring, and see what you do about it? Oh, it's not my problem till it's my child? What's wrong with you sick people? Especially you directors and you employees and you supervisors and you people that run the media and the politicians. What's wrong with you people? Why aren't you broadcasting this stuff? I've been on the streets. I've rescued little boys and girls, 12, 13 years old, that were kidnapped and raped and beaten and drugged from Chicago and Florida and Texas. And they end up in California, in the tri-state ring between California, Nevada, because they fly into McLaren Airport from all over the world like frickin' Thailand. And these people have their way with young escorts under 14 years old. Why isn't that talked about? Who cares about the NBA? Who cares about Hollywood? Who cares about anything? Why don't we care about that? Oh, but we all talk a big talk. Hey, we work it for a little while. Yeah, you bunch of freaking cowards. That's what y'all are. Every single one of you don't do something about this because it's on your watch. You're living in this country today, right now. It's on your watch. If you don't do nothing, then you're contributing. Why are you protesting some media woman from the Trump organization eating at a Red Barn crappy restaurant with your protest out there and calling them evil, vile names, BLM, and all this other stuff? Why are you doing that? Why don't you protest this? Oh, but I bet you'll cry when your neighbor's child gets abducted by some sick rat bastard. Like this one that was popped here in Antelope Valley, California. The poor little boy. They beat him, raped him, drugged him, stuck cigarettes in him. All he wanted to do was be loved. 7 years old. How about those ones that are being popped right now in the news that had that house with all the daughters? Oh, yeah. It's the thing you worry about, right? Let me give you a statistic, people. Before some pervert, deviant, sick son of a bitch is ever popped by anybody, they do that at least 289 times. That's 289 lives that they wreck for life. Give me a gun. Let me put a bullet in their head. No pass go. No sit in California, the lefty liberal lunatic state We got 700 to 800 people on death row. Execute them all. Clean that up. That's the way I feel about it. Oh, maybe some people aren't guilty. Oh, maybe they aren't, but the percentage is so small. Too bad. Most of them are there because they're sick rats. Why do we let these perverts live forever in our jails at $50,000 a year? What's wrong with you people? It's you people. Here in California and Texas and Florida and Iowa, Oklahoma and North Carolina and Maine and Oregon and Mississippi and Wisconsin and Alaska. Do I have to name all 50 states? How dare you? I'm calling you out. I think you're just a bunch of freaking cowards. That's what I think. Coalition Against Human Trafficking. I'm the director here in Los Angeles. I fight the fight. I talk the talk, and I walk the walk. You just toggle my name in any Google search. You'll see what I'm about. What you're about? Putting some ducats in your frickin' pockets while your neighbor's kid gets raped by some deviant sexual pervert? The Jesse T Show. What can I tell you? Hey, it's me, Jesse T. Now, that's the world according to Torrero. You're straight on the point, brothers and sisters. There it is. The Brown Beauty is always on duty because it's me, Jesse T., and I can't help but being myself. That's for sure. Tomorrow, we got a great new young candidate, politician, vying for Assembly Seat California, District 39. We're calling Benitez coming in. And we're going to him live in the studio tomorrow about the issues and how to clean some of this stuff up that we're talking about. Catch 5 on Wednesday here in Southern California. Right here on the Jesse T Show, live at 5 to 6 every day. Across the vast network of social media, TV networks we put together. Go check it out on past. Appreciate that. And thanking the folks at thepowerofvoices.com and the Global Radio Network right on. Hey, this is the Brown Beauty. I'm off duty. See ya. Boom.